Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about my top houseplants, specifically for beginners. So I wanted to talk about what my top houseplants are for me, what I find very easy to grow. My first houseplant that I'm going to mention is this pothos. This pothos is obviously very easy to grow. I feel like it's like a staple in everybody's collection, and it's super easy to grow, especially if you do have a low light area. I know that not a lot of indoor places have really good windows. For example, my place, I only have one good window, and that's the window that's right behind me. It's a southeast facing window, so it does get quite a bit of light throughout the entire day, as long as the weather outside is really good. I have had some cuttings from it, so I have a couple of new growths everywhere, and it looks like there's new growth coming out of the soil as well, so that's really exciting. The soil mix that I used for this pothos is a very airy type of soil mix, but not too airy. So I use my regular potting mix that I got from one of my local nurseries, and I also add some perlite in there just to give it some aeration. What I also like about this plant is that it's very easy to propagate. You can see the little sections on some of the stems here, and you can literally cut below that and then just put that in water, and it propagates very fast. The next houseplants that are on my list is definitely going to be these philodendrons. These philodendrons are super easy to grow, and I feel like they're really easy to find as well. They're also very inexpensive where I live. These I usually find that will do very well in any kind of light. Obviously nothing too dark, but you can keep it in a low light situation and it will do just fine. Mine is kind of in a little bit in bright light, but nothing direct, and it seems to like that very much. I did get this plant at Lowe's, and I still have it in the nursery pot that it came in, and I am thinking of repotting this very soon since it does seem to be growing out of its pot. But the soil mix that I use for this one is going to be very similar to the pothos, so a very airy but not too much. In terms of watering for this plant, I used my finger and I kind of check to like my knuckle. I put it in and then I check if it's dry. If it is dry, then I go ahead and water it. I know a lot of people have said that that method isn't always very great, just because the soil at the top of the pot could be dry, but the soil at the bottom could still be wet. So I would definitely recommend investing in a moisture meter. I still haven't found one myself, but I'm in search of one. Another way you can tell that these philodendron need water, their leaves will usually curl in or out a little bit. I have seen both, and that's usually how you can tell when it needs water. I do that quite a bit with this philodendron. Sometimes the leaves will curl in a little bit, and that's how I will tell that it needs water. But other than that, I love these philodendrons. They have been my favorite ones so far. I got this plant really not too long ago, probably like a month, and it has grown so much. And it's about to be December, and it's still pushing out growth. So I totally recommend getting philodendrons if you do like trailing plants. Another plant that I recommend is this Silvery Ann. My favorite thing about this plant is the foliage. If you put it towards the sun, it is very like glittery and very pretty, and it also grows very fast. It has new growth coming in, and I just got this around probably 2 weeks ago, and I used the same potting mix that I use for my philodendrons and my pothos, and it seems to be very happy. I did just repot it, and it's doing great. The next plant that's in my list is going to be this little cute air plant. It is called, I believe, a sky plant. I'll go ahead and put its scientific name here. But these plants are very easy. Any air plant I feel like is very easy. I don't have it in soil or anything. I just have it in this cute little shell, and I just kind of have it sitting on top, and it seems to like that very much. There is fertilizer that you can use that is specifically for air plants. I haven't used any fertilizer, and it seems to be doing fine. I will be looking into getting some fertilizer for this one once the spring comes. But other than that, I do mist it here and there. Another thing you can do with these is just get a cup of water, fill it up, and then just dunk it in there and leave it in there for probably like 15 minutes. And that's kind of how it gets its watering. Whenever I remember, I do try to mist it. So if I ever like come by it and I have my mister near me, I go ahead and mist it, and that usually helps the plant as well. The next plant that's on my list is going to be this snake plant. Snake plants are super easy and really fast growers if you do have them in a little bit more of a higher light, but they are a plant that you can keep in low light and they will do just fine. I have heard people that say that they completely forget to water these plants and they're just completely fine. So they're very, very hardy. The soil mix that I use for this plant is a little bit more airy, so I do use some orchid bark in it as well as perlite, since it is more of like a succulent plant. But other than that, I do water it whenever I feel the soil is very dry. Another thing you can do is pick up your plant, and if it feels very light, then that's usually a sign that it does need some watering. The next plant that is on my list is this money tree. Money trees are super easy to grow. I got this one at a local grocery store, and it has pushed out new growth ever since. It did not have this leaf or any of these little baby ones. I do still have this plant in its nursery pot, the pot that it came in. It came in a little cash bow, but it actually like fell and it just broke. So I just kept it in a nursery pot. It's not root bound or anything. The roots are doing very good and they look very healthy. And I kept it in the mix that they had it in, and it's in a like a peat moss mix, and it seems to be doing just fine in that. I've noticed that this plant does fine in low light. It pushed out this growth when it was in low light. I do have it in a little bit more of a higher light than it used to be in. I do bottom water this plant, so I do get a bowl with water and I just let it sit on top till the top of the soil looks wet. I do forget to water this plant, but it's very, very forgiving. It hasn't dropped any leaves, none of the leaves are yellowing or anything. Overall, it's a really healthy plant, and it's also, I would say, very hardy. These next plants that I'm going to recommend are very easy, but I do recommend having a window where they will be able to get direct sunlight, such as this little succulent. Any succulent really is really easy to take care of as long as you have the correct lighting. Other than that, I do use a very airy mix of soil for this one, and then I water it whenever it feels dry. The number one reason that I see people killing succulents at all is because of overwatering. So if you do find yourself overwatering your plants, I recommend putting your succulent in a terracotta pot and making your soil mix very, very airy. They will be very happy as long as you give them the correct amount of water and sunlight. This is a donkey tail succulent, and like I said before, it will do very, very good if you do have a window that has direct sunlight. They love direct sunlight, and they also don't love being overwatered. Since this donkey tail has very thick leaves, it does hold on to water a lot more than other ones that have thinner leaves. And that goes for any type of succulent or cacti, such as this string of pearls and this little cacti as well. I feel like this plant has definitely benefited from the high light that I'm giving it. The growth is growing very, very fast. I do recommend any type of succulent or cacti if you do have high light in a window that has direct sunlight, because they will do very well in that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys take away something from this video. And in the comments down below, let me know what plants you think are easy for beginners, or what are your favorite plants.